There is one woman who has made a difference in every single person who is sitting in this church tonight. And I'm not referring to our Blessed Mother. Her name is Joanne Scheibel. And in 1954, she was a young, unmarried college woman who discovered that she was pregnant. And in the 1950s, her options were rather limited. To choose abortion was illegal and it was rather dangerous. She could have gotten married, but she decided not to. She didn't want it to interfere with her career. So instead, she decided to put her little baby boy up for adoption. And so it was in 1955 that a California couple by the name of Paul and Clara Jobs decided to adopt this young little boy. We know him better as Stephen Jobs. It would not be overstating things to say that Steve Jobs, for my generation, is probably like the Thomas Edison of generations in the past. If you own anything that begins with a small letter I, he's invented it. The iPad, the iPhone, and anything that remotely even resembles it. If our world had been transformed by the ability to hear music, by the ability to send letters, pay bills, deposit a check, read a book, buy a ticket, it's all because of this one man. And you can do it on the size of a device, almost the size of a credit card. And you can thank his mother. You can thank his mother that she gave him up for adoption. If you want to know how much one life can matter, that's just one small example of someone choosing life and what a difference it can make in our world. But imagine our world if that life would have never happened. What would our world be like today? Especially as we're dealing with this coronavirus. Would we be using Zoom? Would we have the technology, the ability to communicate with one another? Imagine a world without Stephen Jobs. And imagine if an unmarried pregnant college student 66 years ago had made a different choice. Now imagine all of the unmarried pregnant college students who make different choices today. The horrifying truth is this: we live now in a culture that not only does not respect life, but it discards it. And I'm not talking just as little tiny children. It's all stages of life that are now at risk, even the elderly. What's happened to us? What has changed in our society? Why are we here where we are today? In Europe, there's a new industry of suicide tourism for people who are old or infirm and they want to take their own lives. What's happened to us? Why are we here? Life has almost become so disposable. In the New York Times recently, there was a long article about a practice called singleton, where women pregnant with triplets or twins can arrange to have one or more of the babies aborted to better manage the size of their family. We don't talk about it often, but it needs to be said. The reason we don't see as many children anymore with Down syndrome, it isn't because of some modern medical miracle. But instead, over 90% of those children are aborted. What's happened to us? What's happened to us as a society and a respect for life at any stage? If you listen closely, the gospel this Sunday is in one sense about respecting life. It brings us the familiar saying about the stone that the builders rejected. Well, we've rejected many stones, unfortunately, and we wonder, when will it end? It's increasingly clear that the only lasting change will happen when we work not to change laws, but it only change when we work to change hearts. And that begins with each and every one of us. Abortion will end when we teach our children that nothing and no one is ever discarded. Remember that story about the multiplication of the loaves? Not a fragment was left over. Every single piece in that story was important. It didn't end until all the fragments were picked up and every one of those was eaten. It ends with people gathering up every single crumb because every single crumb mattered. No one, no thing, no life is wasted in the incredible work of God. Abortion, it will end when we acknowledge that life isn't inconvenient, difficult, and unplanned. But nothing and no one is ever unplanned or unwanted when one's doing the planning and the one that's doing the wanting is God. Abortion will end when we realize at last that love is greater than fear. It will end when we see life not as a problem to be solved, but as a gift, a beautiful gift to be embraced. It will end when we simply choose life. Beautiful, chaotic, unpredictable, explosive, crazy. That's life. That's life. Life isn't something to be discarded because it's difficult, or inconvenient, or unexpected, or old, or sick. It's so much greater when we realize the beautiful gift that God has given. By changing how we talk about life, how we treat life, how we teach life to our children, we can begin to change hearts. We can begin to change minds. Respect life. It's more than just a catchphrase. It needs to be a way of living. Respect life. Not just in the womb, but everywhere, at every time, at every moment, at every circumstance, within our families, within our communities, the places where we work, the places where we do business. Respect life. It means treating every life with dignity and honoring every life as a gift. Doing that moment by moment, we begin to change our culture, and heart by heart, we'll begin to change our world.